Good afternoon, Diane. This is Tom, the designer from Justwood Furniture. I hope you're doing well. So, it's been quite a while since we last spoke, so it's lovely to be back in touch. Hopefully, you're enjoying the lovely weather we're having over here in the UK at the moment. So, let's run through the changes that we've gone through based on Chris's most recent site survey. Thank you for your patience. We've just been absolutely inundated with design work in such a small space of time. So we've got round to doing your work, and here is what we've got. So if I just remove all the doors so that you can see the inside. So firstly, you've got one cabinet returned on this side with long hanging and a hat shelf at the top. And then in this unit, let's call this cabinet B, and that's C, and of course this one is A, and then you've got D, E, and this unit against the opposite wall is F. So in cabinet B here you've got the same hat shelf. It's at the same height, you can see there, so those levels are at the same, and then we've put a vertical division in, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes. You've got a smaller half height hanging. Of course, you've got another long hanging, and then you've got two double half height hanging at full width there. Of course, you then have 3 sets of drawers. You've got, obviously, you won't be opening them both at the same time, but they have the clearance they need in either direction to use one by one. So you've got 3 equal drawers there, and then 3 equal drawers on the right hand side there again. And if we rotate all the way to the other side, you've got 4 equal sets of drawers with a vertical division between the two. So you've got one side and another, presumably for his and hers. And that's it. That's everything to show you in the updated design. It sounds like this strikes a bit better of a balance in terms of what you're after. And it did sound like you were after a bit more drawer space than anything else. So it sounds like we're starting to spiral in on things here. I'm just checking our notes to see if I haven't missed anything out. No, I think that's everything that I've got from the notes that Chris had passed along. What I'll do is I'll just show you some of the internal dimensions of each of the cabinets at the moment, and then you'll come back to me with your feedback, which I look forward to. Of course, it's important to note that everything is butt up to against the RSJ there, so everything's on the left-hand side of that. And then, of course, the drawer units are tight up against that end panel, and then we'll create a filler where the 2 drawer units meet. Okay, let's go to cabinet A. So this is on the return. So again, there's the door. The top space is 30 centimeters in height, which is the average school ruler. You've got 42, nearly 43 centimeters in the left to right axis. I call that the width. And in the front to back axis, I call that the depth. You've got 55 centimeters. And of course, the height's the vertical axis. So below that shelf, the entire void within the cabinet itself is 179 centimeters. So it's a really long hanging. And if I'm to measure from the rail to the floor, it's 176 centimeter drop. That's to the floor, not the internal of the cabinet. So the internal of the cabinet is 175 centimeters. So just let me know if you're happy with that. Because the 2 units are like so, I thought it best, rather than to have this door as a left hinged door, it would be opening up into a corner, which didn't feel right. So instead I made it a right hinged door, so it opens against the long run of cabinets. So that's cabinet A. Now let's go over to cabinet B on the return. Again, there are your double doors. There's your 30 centimeter in height. Then you've got 89 centimeters in the width. There's your shelf, your vertical division. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of the linen boxes that we've already talked about. But for argument's sake, we'll show you again. Here are the boxes. And they of course have the front situation and the back situation. Really useful to have sports gear or one type of underwear, another type of underwear. Now below that last shelf you've got a void of 1 metre, and then the drop from the rail to the space below is 96 centimetres, as all our rails are 4 centimetres down relative to whatever limit is above it. So there's 175 centimetres drop, so it's a really long space. Of course, if your dresses don't fill that void, there is a possibility to put maybe a 20 centimetre shelf from the bottom up. Let's just say that your dresses are 150 centimetres or something like that. That would give us sufficient space to put a shelf of 200, so that you could put maybe some trainers and some sandals and what have you. Alternatively, you could just leave it open and you could just leave everything at the bottom there. Okay, so if we are using these for the boxes, do you know what? I might actually tighten this up even more. So let's make it even smaller on the right. 39 centimeters. So that gives you 48 centimeters of rail in the left to right axis. So that's opening it up a touch, and I think that does it more justice. The boxes will be perfectly sized at 39 centimeters. Okay, so let's just put the plinth in so I can measure to it. From the fixed rail to the floor is 219 centimeters. Now, this might be too tall for you, and if it is, there may be a school of thought to have the pull down rails. I don't recall if you liked them or not, but just remember, every time I drop the rail, you're reducing that space from there to there. So whatever you intend to hang will start having to be shirts or skirts. And if we measure to this imaginary plane, which represents the halfway point within this vertical void, you've got 108 centimeters, 101 centimeters, and 105. So the biggest space is at the bottom already. It's not quite 50. Oh, it is 50-50. Okay. What have we done here? Absolutely nothing. They're identical. Okay, so the drop from there to there is 101, and the drop from there is 101 centimeters. So as we said before, we can bias this, but we can also measure to make sure that you're satisfied. Maybe the drop of your skirts and shirts only finish there. So then look at all of this space that we've got to play with. And it may mean raising that up so that the rail comes with it, and you've got a bit more hanging space for your longest blouses, etc. So do bear that in mind, measure your clothes, and then we can have a little play for that unit. Just get rid of that for now. Okay, let's race through the last 3 units. Okay, so we have 3 equal units of 3 equal drawers here, all 18.5 centimeters in the height internally, 45 centimeters in the depth, and 71 in the width. And of course, that unit is ever so slightly different, ever so slightly. So you've got 18.5 in the vertical, 45 in the front to back in the depth, and 70 centimeters in the left to right. And the countertop to the floor is just under 1 meter, so 98 centimeters. Final unit here. You've got 4 drawers of 11 centimeters, so it's far, far more reduced, and this may actually be too little. But again, we can reduce this to 4 like the previous cabinets, or we can make them even bigger. It's entirely up to you and what you intend to put here. Okay, so then you've got 4 sets of these drawers, so they're 35 internally, front to back, depth, and 55 centimeters in the left to right. So it's an external depth of 40 centimeters this unit, 45 centimeters this unit. and these units are 56 centimeters, and the cabinets are at full depth, which is 60. And that's it. And obviously we've created a space in the corner where these two units meet, so it avoids that awkward space over there. And that's everything that I have for you here in this video. Hopefully you found it helpful. I look forward to hearing your feedback. If you would love to book an appointment here with me at the workshop, I think that's probably the next best step, so that we can really start dialing things in together. It would be helpful for you to measure some of your clothes so that you understand the drop from the rail to the longest garment that you intend to go in each of those spaces. And then we'll have a better sense of what is possible to change, if at all. We might go through the process and realise, you know what, leave it as is, but at least then you'll know we've gone through the process of sanity checking it. So that's everything from my end. I look forward to hearing your feedback, and we'll speak soon. Bye for now.